Hey guys, the Fire Brothers here. It's just me. My brother couldn't be here today because he's busy trying to explain the plot to TF5. So we're not gonna see him for quite a long time, to be honest. Anyways, these are the jokes. Hope you guys are enjoying them. So today I have a big theory. I tend to have a pretty good track record, when it comes to guessing these things right, or digging up old, cut content from the movies. You guys really do seem to like that. This video falls into both of those categories. A cut scene from Age of Extinction, which was gonna showcase everyone's favorite wrecker, Leadfoot, have a larger extended scene in Age of Extinction, and how Leadfoot and arguably Ratchet's death are both Bumblebee's fault. This video is gonna be a juicy one, and one that's gonna make you rethink the Leadfoot death scene quite a bit. So let's begin. So in Age of Extinction, the Autobots are being hunted down by Cemetery Wind and locked down like we all know. Bumblebee's leading the refugees, the surviving Autobots, whatever you wanna call them, because he has the most experience on Earth, and eventually Optimus Prime comes back and leads the surviving Autobots in the retaliation against Cemetery Wind and KSI, leaving the fates of many Autobots that we knew from the previous movies unknown. Now, the time gap between Dark of the Moon and Age of Extinction, it's so weird and it's so intriguing. There's so many people speculating and theorizing and debating about what happened during, that time gap. All that we do know is that at some point there was a fight in Mexico City where Optimus Prime was severely injured and forced to go into stasis. This is what, basically made Bumblebee take charge temporarily. I also made a video talking about who was really second in command in Age of Extinction and TOK. The answer is actually much less obvious and misleading than people think, so if you guys want to check that out, go and check it out after this video. But the point is that the remaining Autobots without a leader, look to Bumblebee for, protection, I guess? Which I always found a bit strange, because you will figure that Ratchet leading them will be the best course of action, or at least for the Autobots to stick together. Because when the Autobots reunite, it gets told to us by Crossers and Hound that Cemetery Wind was picking them off one by one, because they're, weaker separated. Why not stick together like they were in Age of Extinction? I get why there were new Autobots seen with Bumblebee's group because, you wanna market new toys and all. But for the old generation, you'll figure they will stick together, especially since they served in the Nest organization together. I always found that a bit weird. But there's evidence that they actually did. Now, for those of you who have been in the TF fandom for a long time, especially during the early days of Age of Extinction, this image is gonna be very familiar. Remember this? Leadfoot's vehicle mode was seen on set. Not only that, but we also saw Bumblebee on the same scene where this picture of Leadfoot was taken. Now, like we all know, Leadfoot's vehicle mode never appeared in the movie itself, and this image always confused me because we had no idea what this was doing there. People were saying at the beginning that this was fake, but lo and behold, Leadfoot actually appeared in the movie, so we know this is real. Not only that, but when we saw Leadfoot's vehicle mode on set, it was around the same time Ratchet also got confirmed to be spotted on set. And I don't think it was just a coincidence they just happened to get Ratchet and Leadfoot's vehicle modes around this time of the film. They were planning to shoot some scenes with them in mind. Ratchet's vehicle mode was at least seen when he was being hunted down by Cemetery Wind, but Leadfoot was never seen. And don't go around and saying, "Oh, fire, it's just here because they were gonna use the royal mode anyway, so they just wanted it there so they know where to add the CGI and stuff." And I want to tell you guys that that's not how it works. There was no need to get Leadfoot's vehicle mode on set if they were just gonna use the royal mode. You could have just used the CGI model for that. Unless you were planning to have a vehicle chase scene or something like that. And where do we see Leadfoot dying? We see him in what it appears to be a small highway. Now, I've been analyzing the background here of the place where Leadfoot dies, and originally I was thinking that this probably takes place, in the highway where the Autobots are fighting Galvatron and Stinger. Well, quote-unquote fighting Stinger, but you get the point. Because it's very similar, and the railing is similar, and the location around it is similar, but if you pay close attention to the environments around both scenes, the highway and this place look a bit different. The trees are closer to the highway where Leadfoot died, while the highway where the Autobots got chased down, the trees are further apart. Also, the layout of the driveway is a bit different. So no, they didn't shot this scene in that place. Now you're wondering, Fire, why is that important? Well, my dear viewer, you're about to find out. I looked back on some of the Raging Nations videos during the early filming of Age of Extinction, and something that caught my eye is that the production was filming in Grace Harbor County in the Satsum nuclear power plant. Now, you guys probably remember this, that there were rumors that they were filming at a power plant and it was going to have some kind of importance on the film. Now, at no point in the film did the power plant ever, played any kind of like a role on the movie. It was kind of just like a detail that everyone kind of just forgot about. But there's this YouTuber called Mr. Brutazo who made a video basically going to the power plant and just like getting a view of the layout. I analyzed this video for about an hour. And look at this part closely. Does this seem familiar to you? That's right, this is the highway where Leadfoot died, where the scene where he gets shot down by the cemetery when agents takes place. So it looks like originally, Leadfoot was meant to have a small chase scene with Cemetery Wind where he was gonna be chased down, then he was gonna be cornered by them before being shot down by Lockdown and dying like we saw in the film. Now, how does this tie to Bumblebee and Ratchet, and why is this Bumblebee's fault? Well, I always found it weird that the Autobots gonna just separated by the time of Age of Extinction. Ratchet is hiding somewhere alone. You figure that Ratchet, one of the smartest characters amongst the Autobots, and probably the next in command after Optimus goes missing. And I know, I made a video talking about who becomes second in command in Dark of the Moon, and I know me saying Ratchet kinda contradicts that, but go check out that video again. I explain why, second in command and leader of the Autobots are two separate things. And, just because you're second in command doesn't mean you become leader right away. I covered in that video. I know there's a lot of like, go check that video out, but trust me. But in case you're too busy, basically, I said that if Optimus were to die or go missing, the best choice to take leadership, I'm talking about leadership, not being second in command, is Ratchet. So him being alone and not leading the Autobots is very, weird, strange. But what if Ratchet was actually in charge of the Autobots? Now here's where my crazy theory comes in. I think that at the beginning, the Autobots were ambushed in Mission City. If it was just Optimus Prime or if he had company like Sideswipe, Mirage or the other Wreckers, we don't really know. But Optimus goes missing, Ratchet takes command and he gets the message, cease all contact with humans. Now something to note about the power plant here is that it's abandoned. The Autobots have a habit of going to abandoned places in Age of Extinction to hide from, human prying eyes. This will make it the perfect place for Ratchet to, reunite the Autobots and try and figure out what's going on. Why are the humans turning against us? And the reason why you say that Ratchet wasn't with Optimus Prime when the ambush in Mexico City happened is because Ratchet seems pretty surprised and confused that the humans are attacking him in Age of Extinction. And he even tells the Cemetery Wind agents that the reason why he's running is because he heard, the message from Optimus Prime. So what I'm thinking here is that the Autobots going to hiding in the power plant. Leadfoot's there, Ratchet's there, Bumblebee's there, maybe Sideswipe, Mirage and the others are there too, but for those I'm a bit skeptical about because there's not enough evidence. But at some point, they get detected by Cemetery Wind and Lockdown. Now, Lockdown is a sniper. He doesn't really need to be there to severely injure the Autobots. And the Autobots have no defense against sniper fire. What are they gonna do? Shoot at the mountains hoping to hit him? The power plant, well, it's a good hiding place. It's not a place that provides good cover against sniper shots. They're pretty much all in the open, like Lockdown can easily hit them from where he's hiding. So the Autobots get found out. And then they probably start running for their lives, all scattering through all directions so they're harder to track down. Cemetery Wind manages to catch up to Leadfoot. And the Autobots by this point are pretty confused because they know that Optimus Prime sent the message, they know that, they were betrayed, but they don't know the reason and the why. So that's why when we see a lot of them being hunted down, they say, "Don't shoot, I'm an Autobot." That's the first time Leadfoot has experienced being, hunted down. You could even argue the same thing with Ratchet. Although when he's being hunted down, he's a bit more willing to fight back. Bumblebee was also in that scene and we do know that he ends up leading the Autobots. It is possible that Drift, Crossers, and Han were also present at the nuclear power plant and they saw the ambush happen. But what they didn't know is if any of their friends, Ratchet, Leadfoot, and the others got away. This explains why when we see the footage of Leadfoot dying, the way the Autobots react. Hound is sad and knows Leadfoot. The two of them knew each other, they talked to each other and they were friends. This tiny bit is evidence for them being present at the power plant along with the old generation of Autobots. This also kind of explains why the surviving Autobots that are under Bumblebee's command kinda detest Bumblebee. Crossers, cause he's Crossers and he wants to take charge. But Drift, I always found to be a bit of a weird case, thinking that Bumblebee was unworthy to lead them. Now, when you take this scene as potentially happening into consideration, the Autobots being present at the power plant, What if Drift, Crosser, and Hound kinda blame Bumblebee for what happened at the power plant? Now you might be thinking, why? How will this be the case? Now think about this. This is where the Last Knight does something good for once. Bumblebee's immature, like he has a tendency for not thinking things through, you know, jumping in headfirst to fight Lockdown, or not checking if, you know, the TRF put any trackers on him. And also think about this. Isn't it a bit weird that Ratchet and Leadfoot stay the same with their old vehicle modes, but Bumblebee's the only one who gets a new evasion mode? And yeah, I know, again, you could say that, oh, it's just to sell more toys. And well, yeah, granted, while that's also the case, think about this. What if the Autobots reuniting at the power plant is something that happened pretty early on? Bumblebee still had his Dark of the Moon, you know, Camaro mode. And since, you know, Bumblebee is one of the most popular Transformers out there, like, I'm not even talking about when it comes to the toys or brand recognition. I mean, in universe, kids know who Bumblebee is. Laserbeak, you know, transforming into a pink Bumblebee and being led inside the house of the little girl was done completely on purpose. We even see Bumblebee and Optimus Prime's face be plastered around posters saying that, you know, they're evil and that they don't belong on Earth. What if is this love for the Chevrolet brand that caused Cemetery Win to spot Bumblebee out there? Because that is possible. In The Last Knight, it's made very clear that that's how TRF managed to track down Bumblebee in London. So Cemetery Win tags Bumblebee in his Camaro mode, and he accidentally brings them to the power plant where the Wreckers, Ratchet, Bumblebee, Mirage, Drift, Crosser, and Hound are hiding. And considering the way the power plant is, they're pretty much out in the open, and Cemetery Win not only has very good firepower, but they also have like the little spy drones that they could use to, you know, spy on them from afar. And as soon as, you know, they go out into the open, they start shooting them down with sniper fire from Lockdown. So when this happens, all hell breaks loose. The Autobots don't really know where they're being shot at, they're out in the open, so they do the only thing that they can do to survive. They scatter. Oh, and I guess Crossers and Drift also notice that Bumblebee has a tracker on and they get rid of it. Which kind of ties in to The Last Knight, where Crosser seems really pissed that Bumblebee got tracked. It's like, wait, what? You got tracked again? When are you gonna grow up? Now that scene makes more sense if you take this into consideration. And this is the part where things start to tie in nicely together. This event causes the Autobots to split up. Ratchet, you know, trying to avoid the humans goes his own way, Leadfoot goes his own way, but, you know, all the Autobots scatter right now, with the exception of Bumblebee, Drift, Crosser, and Hound, who stick together, or at the very least agree to rendezvous somewhere else. Now, since we know that Bumblebee's new vehicle mode was spotted on set, my guess is that shortly after the power plant scene, Bumblebee scans the new vehicle mode to, you know, better dodge them, since, you know, the Camaro that Bumblebee uses is very recognizable, and having that as his alternate mode will just put him and the other Autobots at risk. Leadfoot has a small chase scene with the humans as he's trying to run away, but he gets cornered by them and he tries to reason with them that they're Autobots, that they're not their enemies. And, you know, Cemetery Win obviously doesn't care and kills Leadfoot. And since the Autobots scatter, you know, Hound, Crossers, and Drift, as far as they know, you know, Leadfoot could have potentially gotten away, so that's why Hound is so surprised and sad when he sees Leadfoot dying for the first time. Not only that, but Drift's statement of "we're all that's left" always seemed a bit dramatic to me. Like, you don't know that there could be more Autobots out there, but if all the Autobots reunited were present and they were attacked by Cemetery Win, and out of the whole group, only them managed to reunite, then that kinda justifies and gives some validity to Drift's statement that they're all that's left. Because they really are, they were a larger group, and now they're the pathetic dirty foursome. And with Optimus, that makes 5. But this theory doesn't end there. You always find it a bit weird how Ratchet gets tracked down by Cemetery Win, with, you know, Optimus managed to stay hidden as a dirty, you know, truck, and Cemetery Win was never the wiser, but they managed to track down Ratchet, who was arguably very well hidden. If you take my theory of the power plant being a cutscene into account, then, you know, the Autobots gathering into all these different directions could at least give Cemetery Win, you know, an idea of where they're going. If Ratchet went west, then they know to look west for him. If Sideswipe and Mirage went north, then they're gonna go north for them. Of course, Sideswipe ends up being hunted down by Cemetery Win, Mirage ends up surviving, Roadbuster is a bit of an unknown, Topspin manages to evade them and, you know, moves to Cuba, Brains gets captured, and Brains getting captured I always found kinda weird, but if Cemetery Win attacked the Autobots at the power plant and they were all there, then, you know, Brains' capture is a bit more believable. And Wheelie could have just gotten away by dumb luck. But yeah, that's my crazy crack theory about the context and what really happened behind, the Left 4 Dead scene. I think originally this scene was supposed to be much bigger than it actually ended up being. We were gonna see Bumblebee scan the new vehicle mode, the old Autobots are probably gonna be present and scattered through the winds, cause if they were gonna get a small cameo scene in here, maybe like a small flashback of Bumblebee recalling what happened, they didn't really need their vehicle modes. They probably just wanted a small chase scene with Leadfoot, because Michael Bay loves chase scenes, and that's about it. This also explains why the Autobots kinda dislike Bumblebee for, being gullible and naive and, accidentally probably getting a bunch of their friends killed. It explains how Leadfoot and how knew each other. It explains Crosshair's little rivalry with Bumblebee and why he detests him so much in TOK. It even explains why Bumblebee grabbed a new vehicle mode, because after what happened he just felt so responsible and guilty that he scanned a new vehicle mode in order to better blend in, making the backstory of his evasion mode to be a bit more sad and tragic. However, since Bumblebee is, the Autobot that has been on Earth the longest, Hound, Crosshair, and Jeff have no choice but to, let him take charge, at least for the time being, since at least they will probably do a better job at hiding or blending in amongst the Earth populace better. And Bumblebee's vehicle mode being present during that scene is a reinforcement of that theory, that we were gonna see the origin of Bumblebee's, new vehicle mode on film. But unfortunately, I'm guessing that was cut because Age of Extinction is a very long movie. It's like 2 hours 15 minutes plus, I think it's even longer than that. So there was so much crammed into Age of Extinction that, as cool as a scene like that would have been, Michael Bay just couldn't, make the time for it. So he had to shorten it and shuffle it, and he wasn't able to use Leadfoot's vehicle mode for that scene in particular. And before you say, isn't it a bit unrealistic to get all the old Autobots and all of their voice actors there for this scene, and for this small scene, that costs money and time? Well, not really, because Ratchet and Leadfoot are perfect examples of this. They're just reusing the CGI models from Dark of the Moon, and as for the voice actors, they don't even need to bring them back. Leadfoot is not even voiced by his own voice actor in Age of Extinction, so they could have either had that scene where barely any of the Autobots talk, or just have the voice actors replaced by someone who's already voice acting in the movie. A very simple solution. But yeah, I definitely do think that in the context of the universe, I think a scene like this did happen, because this explains a lot of things. It honestly explains so much, it's unreal. But I think that soon after Mexico City, this was the catalyst that made the Autobots split up. Because again, I never understood why they split up in the first place, unless they were forced to. And them being forced to split up like this makes a whole lot more sense. But yeah, guys, that's my crazy crackpot theory. It's probably one of the wildest theories I ever done. But listen, guys, tell me now that there's quite a bit good piece of evidence and continuity that actually does fit in quite nicely to this. Honestly, I think there is. Like, Leadfoot's vehicle mode being present, Cemetery Wind hunting them down, them being shocked whenever they actually see the humans, shooting at them, Bumblebee's, antagonistic relationship with the other Autobots. Well, except for Hound, because Hound does seem to like him, and a bunch more. I think that this explains things nicely, and it's a nice segue into Age of Extinction and the events that happened there. But hey, this is just a theory. A trans theory! Let me know your thoughts on this theory in the comments down below. Do you think that there originally was gonna be a extended scene for the power plant and Leadfoot? Or do you think that I'm right and the events will happen a bit more differently? Let me know your thoughts on all this in the comments down below, and even regardless if this is real or fake, I still think that this is such an amazing theory. There's things out there in the Michael Bay universe that haven't been confirmed or proven right, and people like to think of them as, headcanons, like Optimus Prime suffering from PTSD, Sentinel Prime working for Quintessa, or Megatron being assaulted and sending Sentinel Prime to kill Ironhide. There's stuff like that falls into headcanon. While there's evidence for that to be the case, there's not really any confirmation that's like a guarantee. This falls into that category. And honestly, I choose to believe this happened. I think it fits nicely, it's a nice explanation, it gives us closure. Well, not exactly because our favorite characters still die, but it at least gives us a good idea as to what happened during that nebulous time period of Dark of the Moon and AOE. But yeah, anyways guys, that's it for this video. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Stay safe, guys. Anyways, before we go guys, shout out to our amazing patrons, Xavier the God, Stitch Productions, Scrub Lordo, Allspark Studio, Epic Nin, Laurel Racer, Transformers Gears and Brawn, Optination Reviews, and a bigger shout out to our 2 big bold patrons, Jordan the Great and XNewer23, who donated a amount of money. If you guys want to shout out your subs, all you need to do is donate to my Patreon. Link to it will be in the description down below and in the comments down below. If you choose to donate to my Patreon, you can collab with me in some of my videos or your videos. You can request some artwork from me, request some video topics, get exclusive access to early videos, and a bunch of other stuff. But keep in mind that it is entirely optional since freedom is the right of all sentient beings. Thank you to my patrons for donating, it's much appreciated, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.